Good morning. Today we are going to discuss about hookworms. In today's lecture, we'll discuss about the life cycle of hookworm, its morphology, pathogenesis, and laboratory diagnosis of hookworm infestations. Hookworms, they are they are nematodes, right? They are nematodes. They are called or they are named as hookworms. Hookworm is the common name which is given to these nematodes. They are called as hookworms because on the anterior surface of these worms, there is presence of mouth, buccal cavity is there, and that is slightly hook shaped. That's why these worms are called as hookworms. Second picture is the segmented ovum of hookworm. Then this third picture shows that the adult male and female worms of hookworms and these adult worms of hookworms, they reside in the small intestine with the help of hooks, which is present in the anterior portion of these worms. These hookworms, they are ancient creatures. They are known since ancient time, since 1600 BC. These hookworms, they had been described in the papyrus during ancient Egyptian civilizations. There is an existence of hookworms. That's why these hookworms are considered as the ancient creatures. Hookworm infestation, it is very much common in underdeveloped and developing countries. While in rest of the world, that is developed countries, hookworm infestation, most of the hookworm infestation is controlled. But still, these hookworms that affects about 900 million people annually. About 9 milliliters of blood is fed by these hookworms worldwide. There are two different species of hookworms which are pathogenic to human beings. They are Ancylostoma duodenale and Nicator americanus. Other hookworm species are also there which are not pathogenic to human beings. Those human non-pathogenic species of hookworms are Ancylostoma brasiliensis, Ancylostoma caninum, and Ancylostoma selenium. In today's class, we are going to discuss only about human pathogenic hookworms, that is Ancylostoma duodenale and Nicator americanus. This Ancylostoma duodenale is, first of all, the scientist, Italian scientist named Angelo Dubini, he described Ancylostoma duodenale for the very first time. Thus, this Ancylostoma duodenale is also known as Old World hookworm. Next, we have Nicator americanus. Then, the pathogenesis mode of entry of this Ancylostoma duodenale was studied by scientist named Arthus Loss, Arthus Looss. Arthus Loss studied the mode of entry and pathogenesis of this Ancylostoma duodenale in the year 1898. The second species of hookworm, which is pathogenic to human beings, is Nicator americanus. This Nicator americanus was discovered by scientists named Steels in the year 1902. Since Nicator americanus was discovered by Steels after a very long time period, after the discovery of Ancylostoma duodenale, this Nicator americanus is also known as New World hookworm. Actually, the origin of Nicator americanus is from Africa. When there is migration of slaves from Africa to the United States, these Nicator americanus from Africa, along with those slaves, they are migrated to United States. As a result, This Nicator americanus, which is the another form of another species of hookworm, it infects most of the Americans. Thus, this Nicator americanus is also known as American murderer. Nicator americanus is also known as American murderer. Why Nicator americanus is also known as American murderer? जुन अफ्रिकन स्लेभ्सहरू छ उनीहरूलाई युएसमा ट्रेड गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ of those African slaves are infested or infected by Nicator americanus, and those slaves are responsible to transmit Nicator americanus to the American people or American citizens, which results in infestation of this Nicator americanus to most of the American citizens, and is responsible for death of most of the American people. That's why this New World hookworm or Nicator americanus is also called as American murderer. Nicator americanus main origin is from Africa, and due to transportation of these African slaves to the US, it results in death of most of the American peoples. Thus, this Nicator americanus is also called as American murderer. Now, we'll discuss about the geographical distribution of these hookworms. Hookworm can be mostly found in tropical and subtropical regions. Hot and humid climate is the favorable temperature for the survival of these hookworms. Mostly they can be found in tropical and subtropical regions. The larva of these hookworms, it may be either Ancylostoma duodenale or Nicator americanus. The larval forms of these hookworms, it cannot develop below the temperature of 22 degrees centigrade. Hookworm infestation is very much common in rural areas with annual rainfall of more than 100 centimeters per year. In Western world, most of the hookworm infestations, it is mainly caused by Nicator americanus, whereas in Asia and Europe, hookworm infestations is mostly due to Ancylostoma duodenale. In Western world or Western countries, hookworm infestation is mainly caused by Nicator americanus, while in Asia and European countries, hookworm infestation is mainly due to Ancylostoma duodenale. This picture shows that hookworm infestation infectivity rate is very much high in underdeveloped countries. That is, most of the part of Asia, Africa, and South America are heavily infested or affected by these hookworms, while rest of the world are free from hookworm infestation. But still, about 900 million people are affected by these hookworms. The main habitat of these hookworms is the small intestine of human beings. Mostly, these hookworms, they live in the jejunum part of small intestine and less common in the duodenum part, while these hookworms resides very rarely in the ileum part of the small intestine. Here in this picture, you can see the adult worms of hookworms. They reside in the mucosal lining of the or mucosal membrane of the small intestine. These adult worms attaches to the mucosa of the small intestine, mainly the jejunum part of the small intestine, with the help of buccal capsule, which is present on their anterior portion. And these adult worms, they feed on blood and tissue fluids. As a result, hookworm infestation, it results in anemia. What type of anemia? Raksha?
Sir, iron deficiency.
Iron deficiency anemia. It may also lead to, one is iron deficiency anemia, and another type of anemia can also be seen in case of hookworm infestation. What is that, Raksha? Due to deficiency of folic acid and vitamin D.
Megaloblastic anemia.
Yes, yes. We can see iron deficiency anemia and megaloblastic anemia can also be seen during hookworm infestation. Which hookworm is known as American murderer?
American murderer is Nicator americanus.
एन्साइलोस्टोमा दियोदेनीलाई के भनेर चिनिन्छ?
ओल्ड वर्ल्ड हुकवर्म।
अनि न्यू वर्ल्ड चाहिँ
निकेटर अमेरिकानस।
किन एउटालाई चाहिँ ओल्ड अर्कोलाई चाहिँ न्यू भनेको?
सो त्यो पछि ओरिजिन भएर होला।
त्यही त डिस्कभरी हैन, ओरिजिन हैन, डिस्कभरी। एन्साइलोस्टोमा दियोदेनेली पहिला नै डिस्कभर भयो, thus it was called as old world hookworm, while Nicator americanus was discovered in 19th century. That's why it is called as new world hookworm. This is about the habitat of hookworm. Its main habitat is small intestine, particularly the jejunum part of small intestine, and then duodenum, and very rare in the ileum part. It attaches to the mucosal surfaces of the small intestine with the help of buccal capsules. This picture shows the adult male and female worms which are residing in the small intestine. Or in other words, we can also say these worms parasites in the small intestine. They feed on the blood and tissue fluids in the small intestine. As a result, it causes anemia, mainly iron deficiency anemia. So iron deficiency anemia caused by this hookworm is a burning problem in underdeveloped and developing countries. Especially this iron deficiency anemia is very harmful. It is very much common in young children, and if a pregnant female is infected by these hookworms, its consequences is very much severe. Now we'll discuss about the morphological differences between the Ancylostoma duodenale and Nicator americanus. Ancylostoma duodenale is comparatively larger than the Nicator americanus. There is difference in the shape of these two different species of hookworms. Ancylostoma duodenale, it is C-shaped. The anterior portion and the posterior portion of these worms, they are directed at the same direction. Thus, its shape is very much similar to like that of English alphabet C. While that of Nicator americanus, it is S-shaped. The curvature of the anterior portion and the posterior portions are opposite to each other. As a result, it exhibits S-shape. Adult worm of Ancylostoma duodenale is C-shape, while that of Nicator americanus is S-shape. Mouth is present at the anterior portion of these worms. In case of Ancylostoma duodenale, there is presence of 6 tooths, 2 ventral teeth and 2 dorsal teeth. While in Nicator americanus, there is presence of 4 teeth, which is located at dorsal and ventral regions. At the dorsal region, there is presence of 2 dorsal teeth, and in the ventral regions, there is presence of 2 ventral cutting plate-like teeth are there. Copulatory bursa is present only in the adult male worms of Ancylostoma duodenale and Nicator americanus, while this copulatory bursa is completely absent in the adult female worms. In the adult male worm of Ancylostoma duodenale, there is presence of 13 rays and 2 separate spicules, and those spicules are bifurcated in the caudal regions. And there is presence of a single dorsal rays in the copulatory bursa of Ancylostoma duodenale, which is male worms. In the adult male worm of Nicator americanus, there is presence of total of 14 number of rays. There is presence of 2 spicules, which are fused at the tips. As a result, it is pointed in structures, and there is presence of a dorsal ray, which are splitted. In the adult female worm of Ancylostoma duodenale, there is presence of caudal spine, while in case of Nicator americanus, that caudal spine is absent. Ancylostoma duodenale, the adult female worm, it can produce about 25,000 eggs per day, while Nicator americanus, it can produce about only 900 eggs per day. These adult worms of Ancylostoma duodenale or old world hookworm, they can survive for about 5 years time period, while Nicator americanus can live inside the human host for about 15 years. So the longevity of Necator americanus is very high than Ancylostoma duodenale. This is the diagram of the adult male and female worms of Ancylostoma and Necator americanus. Which one is male worm? This one or this one? How can we identify between male and female worms in case of these worms? It may be either Ancylostoma duodenale or Necator americanus. How can we identify between male and female worms of these hookworms? It may be either Ancylostoma or Necator americanus. कसरी छुट्याउन सकिन्छ? कसरी चिन्न सक्छौं hookworm को adult male and female worms?
So त्यो मेलमा चाहिँ तल पोस्टेरियर एन्डतिर स्पाइक्युल्स हुन्छ, फिमेलमा चाहिँ हुँदैन।
स्पाइक्युल्स त अब हामीले नेकेड आइबाट हेर्न अलिकति गाह्रो हुन्छ हैन? झट्ट हामीले हेर्दाखेरि छ नि कसरी छुट्याउन सक्छौं त मेल एन्ड फिमेल वर्म्स? माछाको पोस्टेरियर रिजनमा के हुन्छ? कुन फिन हुन्छ? रोसन स्ट्रेस, रोसन फिसको जुन पोस्टेरियर रिजन हुन्छ नि त्यहाँ फिन हुन्छ नि है, त्यो फिन्सलाई के फिन भन्ने? caudal fin. Yes. In case of the worms, adult worms, male adult worms of these hookworms, at the posterior region, there is presence of caudal fin-like structures. That caudal fin-like structures is called as bursa. That bursa, it helps in copulation or mating with the adult female worms. Thus, that bursa is also called or known as copulatory bursa. It helps in copulation. Another difference between male and female worms is size. Generally, in case of these worms, female worms or female counterpart are much larger than the male worms. The thing is same. Morphologically, we can very clearly distinguish between the adult male and female worms of hookworms. The first picture in left is the adult male and female worms of Ancylostoma duodenale. This is the male worm and its body curvature. This is anterior and this one is the posterior portion. They directs towards the same direction. As a result, it resembles the shape which is similar to like that of English alphabet, that is C. Here, at the posterior regions, we can see the presence of copulatory bursa. This one is C-shaped adult female worm, which is much larger and thicker than the adult male worm. Then, this is the second picture of the adult male and female worms of Necator americanus. Male worm, it possesses a copulatory bursa, which is present at the posterior region, a posterior end, and the body curvature is opposite. The anterior portions and the posterior portions, it directs opposite to each other. As a result, its shape is similar to the English alphabet S. This is another picture of the adult male and female worms of Ancylostoma duodenale, that is Old World hookworm. Here you can see this is the buccal capsules. With the help of these buccal capsules, these adult male and female worms attaches to the mucosal surfaces of the small intestine. Then inside the body of these adult male worms, there is presence of intestine, testes, seminal vesicles, ejaculatory ducts, and spicules, along with copulatory bursa in case of adult male worm, while in the female worms, there is presence of buccal capsules along with vulva, objector, ovary, and uterus. So this is the morphological structures of the adult male and female worm of Ancylostoma duodenale. This picture shows the cutting plates. The first one, the left picture, this is the anterior portion of the Ancylostoma duodenale. This is the scanning electromicrographic pictures of Ancylostoma duodenale, which shows the presence of 6 number of teeth in Ancylostoma duodenale. Here, this is the picture of Ancylostoma duodenale. You can see there is presence of 2 pairs of teeth, which is present ventrally. As a result, 4 number of teeth are there in the ventral region, while at the dorsal region of the mouth, there is presence of 1 tooth at its side. Then this is the second picture at the right side of the screen. This is also the scanning electron micrograph pictures of Necator americanus or New World hookworm. Here you can see the presence of two pairs of cutting teeth at the ventral and dorsal regions. Two at the ventral and two at the dorsal regions. Total 4 number of teeth are present in case of Necator americanus, while in case of Ancylostoma duodenale, there is presence of 4 number of teeth. This is the picture which shows the caudal region or caudal part of Ancylostoma duodenale, where there is presence of copulatory bursa and a copulatory spines is present in case of adult male worms of Ancylostoma duodenale. This is the caudal or copulatory bursa of Necator americanus. Here we can see the presence of 14 number of spikes or rays are there along with the copulatory spicules. This is the top view of the copulatory bursa of Necator americanus and Ancylostoma duodenale, which shows these copulatory spicules along with the copulatory spines. Now we'll discuss about the eggs or ova of these hookworms. Generally, the ova or egg of these hookworms, it is oval or elliptical in shape. These ova are non-bile stained. Thus, we can say the egg of hookworm is non-bile stained or it is colorless in nature. Egg of hookworm, it measures about 60 by 40 micrometer in size and it is segmented in nature. The ova, segmented ovum of hookworm, it is surrounded by a transparent haline membrane, that is cell of the egg. The ova or segmented ovum of hookworm, when it is freshly passed or excreted by the adult worm in the stool of the infected person, that egg will be generally non-infective to the ova of hookworm. The segmented ovum of hookworm, it can floats in the saturated salt solutions. Adult female worm, it can produces a very large amount of eggs. That is about 15 to 20,000 eggs per day. And during its lifetime of about 5 to 15 years inside the human host, this adult female worm, it can produces about 15 million numbers of eggs in its. So this is the picture of the hookworm, which is oval shape. It measures 60 by 40 micrometers in size, and it is segmented ovum. Inside the egg, we can see 4 number of segments of blastomeres are there. Such egg is considered as infective to human beings. This is the blastomeres, and this is the egg cell. In between the egg cell and this embryo or blastomeres, there is a presence of clear, transparent haline membrane is there. So if we see such structures under the microscope, we can say that, or we can identify it as an egg of hookworm. Microscopically, we cannot differentiate between the egg of Ancylostoma duodenale and Necator americanus. माइक्रोस्कोपमा हेरेर हामीले Necator americanus र Ancylostoma duodenale को जुन एग हुन्छ त्यसलाई क्लियरली डिफरेन्शिएट गर्न सक्दैनौँ. We can differentiate them on the basis of observing the adult male and female worms only. The mode of transmission of hookworm is mainly by skin penetration. When a person walks barefooted in the soil, which is contaminated by the egg of hookworm, the filariform larvae of these hookworms gain access through the softer part of our skin, that is palmar and plantar regions. When the filariform larva comes in contact with the palmar and plantar regions of our hand and feet, then these filariform worms can access inside our body. The appropriate or favorable home for these filariform larvae is sandy and loamy soil. sandy and loamy soil. In this sandy and loamy soil, these filariform larvae can grow very easily in sandy and loamy soils. So when you walk barefoot in beaches or in gardens, which is possibly contaminated by the infected person's excreta, then we may get infected by these hookworms. So if we have to prevent ourselves from hookworm infestations, do not work barefoot in the field and nearby ponds. Now this is the life cycle of hookworm. These hookworms, its infestation starts when the segmented ovum it passed out through the infected person's stool. Eggs are excreted from the infected person's stools into the surrounding environment when such infected person defecate openly. In the soil or external environment, where the temperature is about 22 degrees centigrade, the ova of hookworms, it germinates. And it will take about 48 hours for the embryonation of the egg. When the segmented ovum gets embryonated, it hatches out into first stage rhabditiform larva. This rhabditiform larva, it measures about 250 micrometers. And this rhabditiform larva, it feeds on the dead and decaying matters which is present in the soil. This rhabditiform larva, it moults 2 times in the soil when the external temperature and environment is suitable for the growth of rhabditiform larva. It moults for 2 times. As a result, L1 and L2 form rhabditiform larva are formed. Then it is transformed into L3 stage larva, which is infective to human beings. And this L3 stage larva is called as filariform larva. This filariform larva is infective to human beings. In the loamy and sandy soil, this filariform larva, it can move up and down in those loamy and sandy soil in search of its suitable host. When a person comes in contact with this filariform larva gain accesses through the softer part of our skin, that is palmar and plantar regions. Then this filariform larva it penetrates the skin and enters the bloodstream. From bloodstream, through the venous circulations, this filariform larva it gain accesses to the heart. From the right side of heart, this filariform larva it goes to the pulmonary capillaries. This filariform larva it penetrates the pulmonary capillaries and it comes out to the alveoli. From alveoli, this filariform larva it moves upward to the bronchi, then to trachea, larynx, and pharynx. When we engulf food or when we swallow the saliva, in these conditions, these filariform larvae, they are also swallowed along with the foodstuffs or saliva, and they move downward through the esophagus. During their very short stay in the esophagus, this filariform larva it moults for the 3rd time. From the esophagus, this filariform larva it goes to its natural habitat, that is small intestine. In the small intestine, this filariform larva, they matures into adult male and female worms. This filariform larva moults for the 4th and final time in the small intestine where they develops into adult male and female worms. Mating between male and female worms results production of egg inside the body of the adult female worms. And these adult female worms, it lays eggs which are excreted along with the feces. And when a person defecates openly, then eggs are exposed to the surrounding environment, which results in infection to the new host. In this way, life cycle of this hookworm continues. From the time of portal of entry of these hookworms to the maturation into adult male and female worms, it will take about 6 weeks time period. This is about the life cycle of hookworms. That is Ancylostoma duodenale and Necator americanus. This is also the same picture of life cycle of hookworms, in which we can see this is the filariform larva, which is considered as infective form. It penetrates through skin, then it goes to venous circulations. From venous circulation, it goes to right side of heart to lungs, lungs to trachea, trachea to pharynx, and then they are swallowed, reaches esophagus, then to small intestine. It develops into adult male and female worms. Female worm produces egg, which is segmented ovum, non-bile stained, and this, in the freshly passed stool, this egg is generally non-infectious to us. This egg embroils in the external environment, that is at 22 degrees centigrade, and these eggs hatch out into rhabditiform larva. Then this rhabditiform larva mouls twice in the soil, and it develops infective form filariform larva. This filariform larva is considered as the resting stage, and which is infective to us, and through skin penetrations, this filariform larva gain accesses through the palmar and plantar regions through skin penetrations. This is also the same picture of life cycle. The main difference is that what I want to show is Ancylostoma duodenale can transmit through transplacental and transmammary route. जुन Ancylostoma duodenale हुन्छ त्यो चाहिँ transplacental or transmammary route बाट पनि transmit हुन सक्छ. Now, the clinical manifestations of hookworm. At the portal of entry, this filariform larva, it may produces ground itch. The larva, it penetrates the skin, which causes allergic reactions, and we can also see papules at the site of entry of these hookworms. At the penetration site of the worms, when a person itches, scratches, it results in the burning sensations. And it may also lead to secondary bacterial infections. Such dermatitis, in case of hookworm infestations, it may last for about 2 to 4 weeks time period. This is the picture of ground itch, which is produced by hookworms, human pathogenic hookworms, that is Ancylostoma duodenale and Necator americanus. Here we can see a serpinaceous rashes can be seen. In the life cycle of these hookworms, we can see a presence of heart-lung migration, which produces allergic reactions, which is known as Loeffler's syndrome or Loeffler's pneumonia. During the heart-lung migration of the filariform larva of hookworm, we can see there is a presence of cough, hemoptysis, chest pain, inflammation, inflammatory shadows in the X-ray picture of lungs. These allergic reactions of pneumonia, which is similar to that of pneumonia, can be seen in the infected persons, and it lasts for about 2 weeks. Loeffler's pneumonia, Loeffler's syndrome, हामीले होकमा देख्न सक्छौं है। त्यो बाहेक अरु कुन वंशमा पनि देख्न सक्छौं हामी Loeffler's pneumonia or pneumonitis कुन वंशमा देख्न सक्छौं। Along with these hookworms, Escherichia lumbricoides are also responsible to cause Loeffler's syndrome or Loeffler's pneumonia. Loeffler's pneumonia is very rare in case of hookworm infestations. Although it is present, but it is very rare. Now, We'll discuss about the natural habitat of adult worms. That is, they can be found in the small intestine, mainly the jejunum part of small intestine. They attaches with the help of buccal capsules, which is present in the anterior regions of these adult worms. When these adult worms resides in the small intestine, particularly the jejunum part of small intestine, they produces pain in the epigastric region. These worms, they feed on the blood and tissue fluids. As a result, it produces microcytic hypochromic anemia, which is also known as iron deficiency anemia. These worms, when a person is infected by these, heavily infested by these hookworms, it produces laziness, that is lassitude in the infected persons due to blood loss. It also results in edema, palpitation of the heart. In severe cases, it leads to death of the infected persons due to cardiac failure or physical exertions. This much for today. So on Thursday, we'll discuss about rest of the portion of hookworm. Thank you.